He is known as Dian Ye, an old rival of Eastern Liberation. Since its inception, it has consistently occupied the third position. With just an old price, it uses a self-service unit to connect transmission, thereby enhancing the rare stability of giant tires under extreme road conditions. Let's see why the so-called Light of Dian is a formidable force. The A60 vehicle body has a length and height of 12.2 r and 3.85, respectively, with a remaining weight of 43.75 tons and a maximum of 55 tons. Therefore, the responsibility of the beam is often several times that of an ordinary heavy truck. First, a steel plate is laid flat on the support frame, and point-to-point cutting is performed using CNC plasma, fundamentally eliminating potential errors caused by hand tremors. It's important to note its standout feature, which is the maximum steering angle of 40 to 45 degrees that no longer relies on a large integrated mass, but instead uses drive. Although this design is stable and comfortable, it is also highly precise, requiring each vehicle to use a detector to measure 100 points on the car body accurately. Especially for the large circular rings at the front, achieving micron-level precision is crucial for qualification, as even the slightest error can lead to circumferential wear and cause the vehicle to age prematurely. This is why traditional companies rarely attempt such trucks, unless they have the technical expertise to back it up. The most important component is this 600-kilogram 10-star joint in front of us. Additionally, before installation, the small holes need to be heated to 150 degrees. Only then can the parts from the freezer be fitted. It seems mastering physics and chemistry would make even traveling back to the Ming Dynasty less daunting. For the truck, 2 small axles are used, one on the top and one on the bottom. Although they may not look particularly striking, they contain various trace elements in the metal, making them several times stronger than those of the same size from India. The distribution connector is then installed in the middle. Unlike traditional trucks, the current model uses a triangular linkage layout, which is based on their proprietary TR linkage technology. We can observe several distinct features from this. 1. The V-shaped torsional resistance is improved by 30% compared to traditional designs. 2. It allows for vertical movement of the wheels, greatly enhancing the rotational freedom. 3. The triangular rod pivot point stabilizes the vehicle's center of gravity, and the stability is achieved through the generation of counter torque, effectively reducing the cleaning angle by 40%. Especially with the vehicle's built-in ECU dynamics, it can self-regulate, acting as a life-saving device. Then, the large component is mounted above the axle, vigorously swinging the hydraulic cylinder to ensure the beam remains intact and perfect. Furthermore, this 6,673 horsepower diesel engine, as a complete unit produced by Wolf Engines, is also self-manufactured. Who would have thought that the raw materials are merely inconspicuous side claws? It seems that the EU's implementation of environmentalism might not just be talk, after all. In your understanding, key components like the engine are almost entirely made from high-quality metals, using molten copper and iron for refining. There shouldn't be much more to do than placing the stars in the required positions, where the planets serve as intervals for play. The finished metal has a good hollow effect, which is like a hollow shell of the engine block. When the molten iron reaches the required temperature, it can be poured into each sand shape in sequence. In order to improve efficiency and reduce risks, various heavy forces used in pouring and crushing are used. Almost all of them are operated automatically by CNC machines. All the workers have to do is to open the cut cylinder block and use calipers to check each valve bore one by one to ensure that the accuracy meets the required requirements. The surface can even emit dazzling reflections. Perhaps it is because of this strictness. This makes Volvo the best-selling heavy truck in Europe. But in terms of global ranking, Volvo is still slightly behind the number 1 Fiat Chrysler automobiles and number 2 Daimler. Then the cylinder block is installed on the mechanical car on the assembly line, and the engine will be fully assembled on this assembly line. I wonder if you have noticed that the ratio of male and female workers in this company is almost equal, and in some positions, there are even several times more women than men. If it is in light industry, this is a normal phenomenon, but it is rare in manufacturing. Maybe women are more careful about their jobs. With the last hose assembled, it is moved to the front and ready for the next step. First, the engine is fixed to the bracket, and then the hose is connected to the fuselage outlet. Only after the engine passes the 120-second power test can it be ready for painting. According to Volvo regulations, any commercial engine of theirs must be painted. There are 2 reasons for this. The first is that dark green paint is a tradition of theirs, and the second is that the paint can have an anti-corrosion effect. But the color looks like a product of the Soviet Union in the last century. Then put the screws into the chassis and tighten them while standing with the help of an imaging device. The benefits of machinery are indeed obvious. In the past, you had to turn over a chassis weighing dozens of tons. Compared with a water tank, it is not outstanding, but its size is larger than that of an ordinary truck. This also means that the cooling capacity will be better. Meanwhile, workers are stamping steel plates while wearing headsets. In addition to steel plates, engineering plastics are also a top choice today. However, plastics are standard for regular passenger cars, while large buses and heavy trucks use steel plates for their fuel tanks. The main advantages lie in their impact resistance and durability, but a fuel tank can't just be used right after welding. Without this set of air pressure testing, it's hard to pass quality control before leaving the factory. The workers first seal the outlet, then insert the air hose, and pump in air, followed by spraying soapy water from a bucket onto the sweat points. Once the soapy water shows bubbles, it means there are still gaps at the weld points. In this video, we can see the defects left by inadequate welding. If such issues arise, the workers need to re-weld the gaps. Of course, not every weld will have defects, but inspection is a crucial step that must be done 100% of the time. To match the net weight of several tons, the fuel tank was designed to be particularly large from the start, capable of holding 750 liters of diesel in one go. If it's filled at 8 yuan per liter, that amounts to 6,000 yuan. Meanwhile, the cab is being installed here at a rapid pace. I wonder if you all know this. In the early days, some private cars often had issues with paint peeling and rusting. Ultimately, it comes down to inadequate anti-corrosion measures. After welding, the steel plates are covered in oil, which is one of the factors that leads to rust. Only after thorough cleaning can they be dipped into the electrophoresis tank. Using electroplated steel plates, a layer of paint film is applied to the surface, and there are a total of 18 different liquid pools in front of us. These are crucial for the durability of the steel plates, and revealing the essential steps for resistance is indispensable. Therefore, if rusting or paint peeling occurs, it definitely indicates that the process does not meet the standards. However, with development and evolution, such incidents have become increasingly rare, especially in recent years, where it's almost unheard of for a car to rust easily. Now, we enter the assembly workshop. Preparing to assemble the dashboard for the cockpit, it looks very similar to a high-speed train cockpit from the outside. The inward curving design also reduces the need for frequent arm stretching. But if we talk about what benefits the driver the most, it has to be the glass. If designed cleverly, it not only enhances the field of view, but can also reduce visual fatigue to some extent. Now, let's see if the visibility of this type of window is indeed very high. Next, connect the power supply. Turn the key and prepare to set various data for the vehicle, and check whether the simulator meets the operating conditions, especially the vehicle's GPS system, which can help the driver maintain normal operation with high precision, no matter how remote the area is. In addition, the Volvo onboard collaborative system also plays a significant role in another aspect, which is their latest headless truck. This type of truck has no cab, and is said to rely solely on AI collaboration to complete transportation. Presumably, in a few years, such designs will become more and more common. Next, the cab is installed at the front, and then the other side of the chassis is attached to the axle. If you look closely, you will notice that apart from the engine being dark green, almost all other components are primarily yellow and black. Yellow, whether on a cloudy day or a sunny day, has a very good reflective and refractive rate. This also improves the driver's safety, to a certain extent. The foot is fixed to the chassis in this way, and its outer ring is a set of large bearings. As long as the inner shaft is secured in place, the bearings, shaft sleeve, and ball bearings can help the cab achieve a 40-degree tilt. But there is a prerequisite. The quality must meet the standards, especially if the bearing material does not meet the requirements. It will inevitably accelerate wear and cause the vehicle body to age. This is because the frequency of use of the hinge is very high, especially in the harsh conditions of rocky mining roads, where the truck's cargo box can also fall from the side. Once it is laid flat, reinforcement begins below. All truck bodies and chassis are connected by a large pin shaft. This one in front of us is no exception. As for the installation method, it appears quite unique. First, the hydraulic rod is fixed to one end of the pin shaft, and with the help of hydraulic pressure, it is slowly pushed in. In no time, the cylinders on both sides are assembled and formed. When it rises, the vertical height is more than 5 meters. Next, the tires are installed. As a truck with a maximum load of nearly 100 tons, each tire has undergone more than half a month of special customization. Each tire weighs 1,300 kilograms, and the price of just one exceeds that of many mid-range private cars. Securing this giant requires tightening all 24 bolts on the wheel hub simultaneously. 4 bolts form a group with an appropriate distance maintained between each group. Compared to an even distribution, this design allows the tire to be more stable because every 4 bolts act as a reinforcement. Layer by layer, this significantly enhances the strength of each bolt. Now we proceed to the final inspection to ensure the even distribution between the lines. In fact, one of the most striking features of Volvo heavy trucks is their precision.